This Watkins Glen NASCAR live recap edition of the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network is brought to you by our Patreon. Score exclusive perks, content, and contests, including our NFL win totals contest with a $1,000 prize. Join today at sportsgamblingpodcast.com/Patreon. We're also brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app to get last-minute tickets at the lowest price guaranteed. Use promo code SGPN for $20 off. We're also brought to you by DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now and use code DEGEN. New customers can score $2,000 in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook with the code DEGEN.
Driver, start your engine!
Strap in and pull those belts up tight as the Sports Gambling Podcast Network presents the NASCAR Gambling Podcast.
I'll wreck my mom to win a championship. I'll wreck your mom to win a championship.
With all the news and the best bets for your NASCAR weekend.
It refrains me from not beating the out of you right now because you ask me stupid questions. But since I'm on probation, I suppose that's improper to say as well. If you could talk about racing things, we could talk about racing things.
Now, here are your hosts, Rod Villagomez and Cody Zeeb.
Cars went left, cars went right. Corey LaJoie was on the track as well for us as NASCAR went racing around the road course races. Of course, the NASCAR Gambling Podcast here on the Sports Gambling Podcast Network. He's Cody Zeeb along with his friend Corey LaJoie. I am Rod Villagomez. Cody, we are fresh off the heels of the Cup race. And of course, what better way to celebrate than a live reaction show about what we just witnessed this weekend?
That's right. First of all, I wanted to say happy Corey LaJoie week. The race is on Saturday this week, so it's officially Corey LaJoie winning Daytona week. So I just wanted to welcome everyone to that. But yes, Stephen Williams, howdy. How's it going?
Howdy,
Thanks
Steven.
for joining us. Man, we had a up and down weekend, Rod. We'll put it that way. You hit a couple of really great bets, and everything else was kind of topsy-turvy, but here we are. One race to go, one spot left open for the playoffs, 15 drivers actually locked in officially now. And man, here we go. And it all comes down to Daytona on a Saturday night under the lights. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's so beautiful.
And, the way our cards went were quite a lot paralleled as to how the races went this weekend, too. There was a lot of intrigue. The leaders ran away with it. I mean, obviously, the both leaders ran away with the race. Obviously, the Xfinity race ended a little differently than the Cup race, but there was still intrigue along the way. This was not just a simple, follow the leader type of race. There was a lot of stuff going on, up to and including pit strategies, very limited cautions, especially when it came down to the Xfinity race. And it was just, again, this is why, and I think we said it in the Discord too, this is why we eliminated the cautions at the end of stages in road races, because now you do have to worry about fuel mileage. Now you do have to worry about undercutting. And now you do have to make actual strategy calls from the box that will get you a win or at least a good solid position if the leader, like we saw today and yesterday, for that matter, run away with the race.
Rod, June 1978 was the last time there were two consecutive NASCAR Cup Series races with only one caution, Riverside and Michigan back-to-back. Oddly enough, the race following that was the Daytona 400.
Ooh, the Daytona
from
400.
NASCAR Man RR over on Twitter there. And, this week we go to Daytona, and I believe this is, let me double check. I think this is a 400-miler. Yeah.
It should be right.
The Coke Sugar 400. Yeah. So, man, crazy times. June of 78. That's insane. Obviously, stage racing had not been around that long, so just hadn't happened since then. But, yeah, it was, Saturday was the ultimate, like, this is exactly why they got rid of the stage racing, right? And the results ended up just going whack at the end, but all the strategy, everything that was going on throughout that race, we got that to a pretty good degree as well, so much so that it possibly cost a player or a driver his shot at a championship this year, like, just because strategy and not knowing what the hell we're doing, I guess. But yeah, it just, man, what a weekend in racing. It was some great races. Our guy Steve Shermer was there from the Golf Gambling Podcast. I think he was a little bored at the track, unfortunately, but I feel like there was enough. That's the one thing about going to the track. Like, going to the track is amazing. It's always a lot of fun. It's a completely different experience, but like, actually being able to keep up on everything that's going on in the race is a lot harder when you're at the track than it is when you're watching on TV. That's the only, and it's just like a football game or anything else, right? You get all the information the TV broadcast is feeding you. So slightly different, but I thought it was a great race. And yeah, here we go. We got one left.
Especially road course race. That's definitely hard. I know from Sonoma, as I made my constant treks back and forth into the infield. Nick Fortune, what's up? Joining us in
Nick?
the chat. Gentlemen, how is life? It is well. We are doing okay. And then, of course, Rye Cave saying Daytona will be another fade of 9. We will.
Yep, I'm out. I'm
Second.
not betting him. I'll be rooting as a fan, but not betting on him. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, I mean, again, we'll definitely talk about that. There's lots to discuss when we come back, but let's tell you first, because you have waited all year long and the time has finally arrived. College football is actually next season. So are the traditions, the tailgates, and all of the great offers from DraftKings Sportsbook right now. New customers can score $2,000 in bonus bets right this second, instantly, when they bet just $5 on any college football. I'm telling you right now, I know that my Army Black Knights are definitely not favorites in a lot of these games, but I think they're going to be scrappy. I've seen they're trying to pass the ball a little more this season. I think they've got a little bit in them. It's probably not going to happen, but I'm still looking for lines to bet on. I think I'll throw some of that extra bonus money over there. Kick off the season with DraftKings Sportsbook. Download the app now. Use code DEGEN. New customers, you can score $2,000 or $200 in bonus bets. Not $2,000, $200 in bonus bets instantly. Like, I got excited. I wanted to give you more money. It's $200, guys, in bonus bets instantly when they bet just $5 on any college football bet. Only on DraftKings Sportsbook if you use the code DEGEN. If you got a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In West Virginia, visit www.1800gambler.net in partnership with Hollywood Casinos at Charlestown Racing. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in Connecticut. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort, Kansas. 21 and older must be eligible in most states, but ages vary by jurisdiction. See DraftKings.com code/sportsbook for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bet expires 7 days after insurance. Eligibility and deposit restrictions apply. Terms at sportsbook.com. DraftKings.com/football terms.
That's the most impressive part of the show right there. That was there's no way I would not trip on that 40 times trying to read that, Rod. So shout out to you. Also shout out to Stephen Williams. Army's just a bunch of turds. That's right. Dang. Go Navy.
Dang. No, thank you.
Nick Fortune, he's ready for the Hawkeyes to score 3 points all season. So that's exciting. College football is here next weekend. Rye says week 0 is shit to bet on. Hey, I think Navy's playing Notre Dame in Ireland, right? Just take them. They're like plus 31 or something.
Yeah. To quote J Mark, it's not a problem if you keep winning.
That is accurate. Shout out to J Mark and old fashioned football.
Yeah. Apologies. I read 2,000 to 200. So the boss are going to get after me for that one. I'll take the hit. Anyways. All right, let's begin with this Go Bowling at the Glen as we start recapping this racing weekend. Of course, we just all got done watching it, so all of it is still fresh in our memory. Again, like I said, the cautions were not there, right? I mean, obviously this is a green flag race for the better part of it. Obviously, cautions played a large part in the middle part of it, especially going into the back end of that race, right? If Elliott had not ran out of gas, we could have been looking at an even longer stretch of green flag run. I know the broadcast had said it was over 3 hours of green flag racing between Indy and this. So as impressive as that is, I mean, it just goes to show that, and the restarts too, especially Watkins Glen, we saw that extra runoff area. That's where a lot of the chaos and mayhem ensues. They were playing nice this week, especially on the initial start. I was surprised, Cody, that we did not see a lot more dive bombing and a lot more bumper car action, especially on that first lap.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they probably watched yesterday and they're like, okay, maybe let's not do that. But yeah, that runoff area is so different since they paved it. Obviously, used to be, I think, was it grass or sand before? I can't remember. It was one of the two, but it was always a disaster. Cars just getting spun in there. Now they don't even stay on the track; they just use the entire thing over there. But yeah,
although,
it just.
funny. Did you see the? I think you may have shared it.
Yeah, I saw.
Like, yeah, where it said all the cars were in the runoff area, and then it was like the actual track.
Yeah, nobody was using the actual track, but that's okay. No, it was very clean race. Really, the only things, the Suarez had his little spin out there, but got it going quickly. Obviously, kind of cooked some of your bets there, Rod. But other than that, I mean, until the Elliott thing running out of gas, like there was no other issues throughout this race till the last lap when Larson and Dillon kind of got into it at the end there, but didn't really mean anything at that point. So we talked about it on the show this week. McDowell, you can't trust that team to go back to back. Not McDowell's fault by any means. Well, actually, it was McDowell's fault in a way with the driving through the pit box, not knowing the rule. Gotta know the rules. So sucks for them. But man, it was impressive how quick he was again. But as we had talked about when it came to betting, and I know you were big on it on the in between media show, the back road, of course, that it wasn't going to be his week again, and that did pan out. But yeah, it was man, I don't know, interesting race. Obviously, we'll get into the bets, but shout out to Denny Hamlin.
And so we'll get into that too. That's the thing about it too. And I know that there was a lot of people that were so high on Michael McDowell, and I got it and I understood it. And guess what? Right at the beginning of that race, absolutely 100% backed everybody up. He was the fastest car. He was leading the race. But I'm telling you right now, this is why you can't handicap pit road mistakes. You can't handicap engines blowing up. Like those are the things that you have to be careful about when you are trying to call your shot. Good news by Switch says, good news was that the pit penalties didn't ultimately matter with the engine going out. True.
Yeah, because he did. It was 10th again on that last restart. I mean, they did recover. He got really lucky at the timing of that caution. I think was right as he was serving his drive-through penalty, so then it bunched him back up. So maybe he could have still got a decent finish, but I don't think it was probably not going to win the race after that point.
No, I don't think he was going to win the race either. But I mean, again, he was going to give it a good go at it. And there was a lot of cars that got mired in the back, and obviously we'll talk about that too in a second. So why don't we just kind of go over that? Because we'll go over how this race shaped out, because a lot of our bets kind of go with that ebb and flow of the race. So Cody, let's start with what you got.
Yeah, so close on this. Martin Jr. top 5 plus 120, top 3 plus 210. The top 3 was never really an option today, but the top 5 was close. He ends up finishing 6th. I love Ty Gibbs, but I was rooting for Truex to get him there at the end, get that 5th spot and cash this one for me, but unfortunately didn't. Still had a decent day, right? Kind of in that 5th to 10th place area all day long. Didn't have the best car. Probably wasn't going to get there was not much passing today as far as like once things got sorted out, you were pretty much where you were. Track position was king. We talked about it, Rod. It had been 6 races in a row. They won from inside the top 6. Now it's 7 races in a row. So, and 7, was it 7? Is it 5 in a row for Hendrick, right? Because it was, 4 in a row before today and 3 different drivers. That's pretty impressive as well. But yeah, Truex, man, he did climb up because I think he started back in, he started 15th or so, 19th actually. 19th, so he did find his way forward for sure. 6th place, unfortunately, just outside of cashing these for us.
And then he got helped again too by the pit strategies and the caution as well. So
yeah, he got really lucky on the Elliott caution timing, because I think he might have been on pit road at the time or had just pitted, so kind of worked out in his favor.
Yeah, it definitely.
Which I didn't.
A good day.
I'd have to go back and look at it, but live, I felt like Gibbs had already pitted, and then didn't Byron dipped onto pit road at like right before the caution came out. I don't understand how Gibbs didn't come out ahead of Byron. I guess Byron must have got back on the track before Gibbs came around.
That's what it was, because
Is that
Byron
what
had
happened?
a pit stop. Yeah, because once he got onto the caution,
because I thought for sure, because I had jumped on Gibbs before the race 9-1. I dropped that in the Discord. That was looking pretty decent throughout the day, and I was like, all right, here we go. Here's our chance. But then obviously Byron still held on to it, and of course ended up winning the race. But
yeah. All right. Well, I had Brad Keselowski as a top 10 car. Dude started in the back. I mean, a valiant attempt to get to 15th place at the end. He made up 19 spots. I just wonder what he would have done had he been able to start closer to the front, because that car obviously was fast enough to gain that much. He did play some good track position gambles there a couple times in the race, but unfortunately, ultimately, once you got into that 15th spot, I mean, he couldn't find his way around Bubba, and then Bubba started to move up, and Kyle got around him, and at the end of that race, it was hard to make any sort of passes whatsoever. Brad Keselowski did his best to gain all those spots, but unfortunately just could not find a way to get inside the top 10. Like I said, it would have been nice to see what he could have done if he started closer to the front, but alas, we were robbed of a Brad K top 10, I think.
yeah, I mean, if it would have, obviously he goes to the back to start because they made unapproved adjustments for the race, so that really hurt him. He had to fight up those extra spots. No cautions to get him a little closer to the front, maybe. So that was unfortunate. I did have a good day, which you saw coming. Again, at almost 3-1. That's kind of just what you were looking for. He did lock himself into the playoffs, though. So Keselowski, Harvick, of course, both locked themselves in today. They will be racing for a championship. I had Chris.
Wait, one second, because we got to tell you about Gametime. Got to tell you about Gametime. Gametime is here, and it is saving you from having to worry about buying last-minute tickets or even trying to plan out buying tickets, because with Gametime, they're going to take all that stress away from you by offering you all kinds of great deals on last-minute tickets. Plus, you're going to get all kinds of flash deals on several of the concerts, sporting events, theater events, whatever it is you are trying to see. Gametime is going to be able to help you with their killer deals on all the last-minute tickets with the best prices guaranteed. So stop stressing over the tickets and get hyped about the fun you are going to have. I'm telling you right now, I am just a procrastinator at heart. I will put off buying tickets until the very last minute, trying to get some better deals. And in fact, Stephen Williams in here chiming in. Love Gametime. Been using it for a couple of years. There you go, Stephen, a happy customer for a couple of years. Love that. So you too can get in on all the action right now. Snag the tickets you want without the stress with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account. You can use the code SGPN for $20 off of your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem the code SGPN for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. With the busy fall season just around the corner, you might be looking for wholesome, convenient meals for jam-packed days. Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal kit, can help you fuel up fast with chef-prepared, dietarian-approved, ready-to-eat meals delivered straight to your door. You'll save time, eat well, and stay on track with a healthy lifestyle. Too busy with your end-of-summer goals to cook, but want to make sure you're eating well? With Factor, skip the extra trip to the grocery store and the chopping, prepping, and cleaning up too, while still getting the flavor and nutritional quality you need. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are ready in just 2 minutes. So all you got to do is heat and enjoy, then get back to crushing your goals. Refresh your healthy habits without missing a beat. Choose from 34 or more weekly flavored packed dietary and approved meals ready to eat in 2 minutes. Head to factormeals.com/SGPN50. Use code SGPN50 to get 50% off. That's code SGPN50 at factormeals.com/SGPN50 to get 50% off. All right, Cody, I know I cut you off. I'm sorry, but lay out your next back, because this is what we expected to happen, right? We expected both RFK drivers to have good days. One did, the other not so much.
They were both good days, relatively thinking. But Chris Buescher, top 10, -120. Again, it had been 7 in a row before last week. He was one spot out last week. Sorry for reminding you again. I know I know that wound still stings. Hopefully, I told you this week though, double up on it. You'll get your money back, and you did pretty easily. Chris Buescher finishes 7th on the day, started 13th. I mean, he was running the top 10 range pretty much all day, or just outside of it, and then caught that last caution just perfectly, boosted him up in there, and catches this one minus 120 pretty easily. Chris Buescher is just a guy you can rely on. Again, 11th place last week. It's that one small technicality of he still had the same good car he always has. He still did the same thing. He just finished one spot out of it. We'll blame that on SVG. And he's back to his top 10 ways on road courses. Minus 120. This was a pretty easy bet to hit.
There's a lot I want to blame on SVG, so we'll leave it at that. I can't blame this on SVG though. I had Suarez as a top 5 car plus 170. I mean, he was 10th, right? He started 10th in the initial start, but that he just hopped the curb, man. And listen, as somebody who probably wouldn't be able to handle those bumps and those curves, I put it on all these guys to be able to do that, man. It's the way they have to drive these cars around this track is so difficult. So anybody that can do it, hats off to them. Unfortunately, Suarez just hit it one too many times, hit it once hard too many times, and spun himself out, and never was able to really recover after that. I mean, like we talked about with Keselowski, right? He got kind of lucky with the track position and being able to pit, but Suarez, man, just dug himself a hole, couldn't find his way out, finished 22nd. I don't know what would have happened if he would have stayed close to the front like he was. Maybe he would have had a top 5 car, but those top 5 cars were fast, so maybe he wouldn't have. I don't know.
Yeah, it probably would have been a tough nut to crack, but man, that happened so early, lap 4 or 5. Like, he was just kind of screwed from that point out. Your flat spot, your tires, everything kind of gets thrown off. So unfortunately, this one just didn't really have a chance. Denny Hamlin, top 10 plus 100. Talk about no sweat at all. But this one looks small compared to yours, Rod, the big one of the day.
Well, and this is so I don't know. I didn't go back and listen to the tape, but I did say that if we hit this one, it'd be better than hitting one of the favorites on this race. And Denny Hamlin, a top 3 car at plus 600. I understood why it was a long shot. I mean, obviously there was several times in this race we thought Denny was going to give it away anyways. So even we were sweating this as far as the top 3 were concerned. Top 10 was never an issue. He would have gotten top 10 with his eyes closed, even if like 3 other cars would have passed him by. But the top 3 for Denny, like starting on the pole, I thought, oh my God, this was looking even way better, right? I thought, well, for sure, we're going to do this. I didn't think he was going to win, and I'm glad I didn't pick him as an outright because obviously he didn't win. McDowell passed him right away, and then Byron passed him right away. So he didn't have the winning car, but I knew he was going to be fast enough to get in the top 3, and I was pretty convinced about that. Cody and I were just talking before we hit record too. There was a lot of times where I thought to myself, this is where Gibbs steals it from him, or this is where Bell steals it from him. And I mean, toward the end of that race, I was like, Denny, just hold on. I watched that gap widen a little bit, and then it closed back up, and then it widened. I was like, stop playing, just go, just drive, Denny.
Yeah, that last restart, I thought for sure that was when we were going to lose that one, just because I thought Denny was going to get swallowed up. But yeah, I played him in DFS today. He actually ended up being a pretty good. I was hoping it'd be like Sonoma, where he'd jump out, he'd lead the first 30, 40 laps until the pit stop or whatever, and then give it up. He only led like 3 or 4 laps before he got passed, but obviously holding on for second place ended up being a good play and won me some money. But yeah, the top 10, obviously super easy, plus 100 for myself. Great call by you for the top 3 at plus 600. We talked about it like he'd been pretty decent on this course in particular, had been different from all the other road courses, and we harped on he's been qualifying really well on road courses. He does it again, a 3rd pole between road/street courses. He did it at Sonoma, the track they've been to many times before, which is another comparison we used. He did it at Chicago street course as well. But yeah, started up front and just kept it up there all day. That was all you needed. And I mean, this was, obviously Byron hitting outright. I think he was 18-20 to 1 or so early in the week. So if you had that, I know our guy Ty Tiger had him, a couple other people in the Discord. So shout out to you guys. Unfortunately, we didn't, but this was better than had one of the favorites even hit to win this race. So great call by you. I had Martin Truex Jr. over Tyler Reddick, minus 115. Reddick actually ended up finishing 8th, only 2 spots behind Truex, but this one did not seem like a sweat all day. I mean, Reddick just not really in the conversation throughout the entire day. I guess he was top 10 in stage 1, but I think that was just because he kind of stayed out a little bit longer than, some people started pitting early there. But Truex, again, we talked about him earlier, didn't quite finish as good as we'd hoped, but still had a good solid day like we expected, and wasn't Reddick's day, so that one hit.
JDK saying, I have a feeling Mr. Gibbs might have told Bell to make sure no one gets to Denny. You think? I don't know.
I don't see why. I mean, finishing second really doesn't mean a whole lot for. I mean, as far as points, I guess chasing Truex, but Truex is also a Gibbs car. Denny, I'm sure, wanted to play. Don't let the 24 win and don't let anyone else pass, because that keeps the 23 car, which he owns, in the deal. So I mean, he's still in the playoffs. So I'm sure had an Allmendinger got up there, Denny would have ran the hell out of Allmendinger to make sure he didn't. If it was Ty Gibbs, maybe a different story, obviously, being teammates, being the car owner that he's still trying to re-sign with, might be a different story. But an Allmendinger wasn't going to get around Denny easily. Bell gave him plenty of room. I mean, maybe they just didn't want to race hard as teammates. And yeah, like Switch said, just hard to pass. And I think that was the case. Kind of talked about that earlier. Like, it was just tough to pass. Once you got settled in, you didn't really see much passes. There's a few here and there, but for the most part, and I don't know that Bell had anything for Byron either. So, roughing up Denny wouldn't have probably gotten any good results there. And going into the playoffs, I don't think I'd look too much into that. If, we talked about it on the betting show, like if it was a Larson Elliott thing late, yeah, we figured that they would lay up and let an Elliott or a Bowman through just because of the playoff situation. That will be in play next week. The teammates will help teammates. Manufacturers will have orders to make sure a Chevy gets in, if they can make sure a Chevy gets in over that Toyota, whatever the deal is. You will see, if it comes down to it, you will see that happen at Daytona. We saw it a few years ago. Elliott probably could have won the race and allowed William Byron to get I think it was his first career victory, maybe even, but pushing him to the win just to make sure. Saw it last year. Tyler Reddick probably could have beat Austin Dillon, but pushed him to that win to make sure that they were both in the playoffs. So I think that will definitely come into play next week, but I don't think that was the case this week. And it really didn't make a difference for Bell or Denny in any way, really.
And really, that's ultimately what it comes down to, is that there was no benefit for either one of those guys to actually be really at each other's throats, especially if Allmendinger was that close behind. You start messing around up there, all Allmendinger needs to do is just kind of wait and pick a spot and get around both of you. So don't need to do that. Dos Flacco says, need Dinger's cruise chief to say his wife is in labor for that T3.
Get him driving there faster.
Little
that's
put on the pedal.
I'm out on Colleague. I'm no longer allowing myself to place any bets on anything Colleague related. We'll touch on that more in the Xfinity portion of the show, but Jesus, Colleague, get your shit figured out.
Well, and I was frustrated too, because it's not like I didn't want Allmendinger to do well. And obviously we talked about it on the betting show. It's just hard to and we did it in the Discord too. It was just very difficult to say I have faith in AJ Allmendinger, because it's just, does he have faith in himself at this point? No, obviously now he does. So we'll take that into consideration moving forward. Not much to move forward to, but we'll take that in consideration. My next bet was Ty Gibbs over William Byron. Well, we know that one didn't hit. So but DK had this price right there.
Not a bad bet at all. I mean, look at Ty Gibbs' day and look how good his day was. He ends up finishing, what did he finish in? Fifth. AJ did get him at the end there, but
that's right.
Yeah, great day by Ty Gibbs, his second career top 5. Oh, it's coming, Rod. I can't wait to see his number next week. Maybe he'll get into the playoffs that way if LaJoy doesn't get it done. But yeah, it was not a bad call by any means. Obviously, Byron ends up being the class of the field, but not something we saw. We didn't expect, even if you would have told me coming into the week Byron wins this, I don't think that I wouldn't have thought he dominates the entire race. And yeah, like it says, if Ty came out in front of Byron, that last pit stop, again, Byron got so lucky. Like you cannot say enough how lucky he was to be that close to coming to the pits. It's a 2.5 mile track, 2.4 miles or whatever, for him to be that close when they know the 9's not going to make it back. And NASCAR didn't wait that long. Once Elliott was on that service road, he pulled off. They knew it was going to be, they flipped the caution on pretty quick. So for Byron's crew chief to be like, hey, get in, and they get in before it. You got to hit that commitment line before the light turns on. Otherwise, you got to drive through and come back out. Like, everything worked out perfectly for them. So shout out to them. But I don't think this was a bad bet for you. I had Joey Logano top Ford plus 700. I don't think this was a bad bet at all. He finishes 10th, the third Ford on the day, but 7th place, Chris Buescher, was the top Ford. So it's not that far out of it. I would make this bet again. Also at Harvick at 12-1. Harvick, the SHR crew, what a rough weekend. And in retrospect, Rod, this is a track that calls for a lot of speed. So maybe we should have saw that coming, I guess. But Harvick Steele, his crew chief, Rodney Childers, his mother had some health issues, and he had to fly back. He wasn't even at the race. He was in the war room and everything, but just kind of a rough weekend for the Childers family and lots of off-the-track distractions. So, thoughts out to the family of the Childers family there as his mom, I believe, is in the hospital, hopefully recovering and everything. But, Harvick, impressive. He started 33rd. He recovered for a 21st place finish, but with there not being any cautions, with there not being anything to kind of turn this up, he was never really going to have a chance. But Logano 7-1, he was in the mix, only 3 spots from being the top Ford. So I think that was a good bet that I would take again.
I'm reclaiming my throne on top of the winning number.
Slept it this weekend, Rod.
Totally did, man. Winning number over 21.5. Got you 2-1 there on Caesars, and I'm very excited that hit. I needed that. I needed to get back up on there. This whole weekend was a good numbers bet for me. So I'm reclaiming my bet. And of course, like I said, too, it was just a matter of the guys that I had were over that number. I really felt like you had a better shot. Obviously, Hamlin's still in that mix, right? And if you look back, Bell would not have gotten that done. Allmendinger wouldn't have gotten that done. The only one that could have gotten that done was the one that won that race. So I'm very happy about that. Zimmerman Vance saying redeeming win. Yes, my friend, that is a redeeming win for me. I'm happy to take that back because I needed to take that crown back. I was losing. I was on a cold streak with my numbers. I was feeling very self-conscious, but I'm back on the mix.
Had been a little bit of a cold streak, but you swept it this weekend. We'll talk about that again on the Xfinity show. I had Chase Elliott. I hated to do it. I didn't want to do it. Everybody did it. I knew it was a bad idea. I allowed my fandom to get in the way and did it anyways. Plus 375. He was fast. He looked good. I don't think there's an excuse for running out in the middle of the race, Rod. Running out of fuel at the end of the race when you're trying to push it, you think maybe he saved enough. Calculations are hard. I get it. Running out in the middle of the race, what the fuck are we doing? And I don't understand. Alan Gustafson, like, I have seen him make calls that have been so good, and it's like, holy shit, like, this guy's been around. He was crew chief with Jeff Gordon. He was crew chief with Kyle Busch. Like, he's been around Casey Kane. Like, he's had some really good drivers. I think he might have been with Mark Martin for a while. Like, and so a lot of success. And sometimes it's like, yes, look at this. And, like, won the championship a couple of years ago with Elliott, so we know he can do it. Then sometimes it's just like, what the fuck are you doing, dude? How do you come up like 2.5 laps short on what you think you have left for fuel in the middle of the I don't know. And then, the TV broadcast was not very nice to him either. Like, Junior and Letarte were both kind of like, yeah, it's not going to be the same as an oval. Like, what kind of math? The math is different on a bigger track. What are you doing? Like, God, that was fucking annoying. With no cautions, he ended up being the lone caution, right? But with no cautions, Lady would not have caught them, but he was putting himself in position. He was 7th. You get a late restart there. Somebody dive bombs. 3 or 4 cars go off. Elliott swoops. Would have maybe had a chance. Plus 375, whatever. I knew it wasn't going to happen, and it was probably dumb to take it, but I couldn't help myself. Truex at plus 750. Again, maybe if we got that late caution, he would have had a chance to. Kept himself in the mix all day. Didn't have anything. Ross Chastain at 60-1.
Where
was
did he race?
Ross in? I don't even know where he finished. 18th. Okay,
I saw that Moose car once. The entire.
I don't even remember seeing. I didn't even know he was in the Moose car this weekend. To be honest with you, Rod, like I didn't hear nothing about him. Don't remember seeing him. 60-1. I mean, whatever. He's 18th. Maybe if we get a couple of late cautions, we saw in the Xfinity race how he could finish in 6th despite running 35th all fucking day. So, again, we'll get into that when we get over there. I'm fired up about the Xfinity race because god damn it. But yeah, not the week for the winning car this week, Rod.
No. And it's funny because I even made the comment during the Xfinity race that like these guys out there running that car or that race like me, after the fuel light comes on, trying to see how many more miles I can get out of it. I'm like, all right, this is it. It says low fuel. Let's go. Let's see where I run.
Is it only 20 miles or will it make it 30?
Whose 20 miles are we talking? Zemran saying maybe this will humble Chase before moving forward. Third best driver at Hendrick.
I mean, right now, William Byron's the best driver at Hendrick. He's got 5 fucking wins on the season. Like that's what Elliott did last year, actually, during the regular season. 5 wins, super impressive. William Byron is the undisputed number 1 at Hendrick at this time, and he's definitely cementing himself in there. So, yeah, Chase has struggled. I mean, obviously, you look at how things are, and of course, the injury I think was bad for both him and Bowman, but. Yeah, at this point, right now, he is the 3rd best driver. Overall, I think he's a champion. JDK just hates Elliott. But he says he's 4th. He's not 4th. Bowman is not better. Bowman is not more consistent. What? Bowman is not more consistent than Chase Elliott. Watch a race, JDK. Come on.
I tell you what, you guys are going to take this to the Discord. Oh wait, hold on. I'm not going to tell you about that.
He won the regular season. That's what I don't. Everybody's like, oh, Elliott in the next gen car, and it's like. He won the regular season title a week before Daytona last year by winning 5 races. So I don't know if I would just say he's been horrible since. That's what I always see too is like he's been horrible since Larson showed up. 5 races is not indicative of. Move on. We're not going to have this argument.
All right. I had Reddick. We talked about Reddick. Just he wasn't able to get to the front. Like that's just really all the long and the short of it. He was a 10th place car or better or not slightly better. And definitely worse at times. So he was never going to win this race. And then Suarez is the other guy that I had spun out early.
I tried to tell you not to take that one, Rod.
You did, but I was telling you, it just, I don't know. I would have been closer with. All
right. Where's the ban button, JDK? You're out. I'm just kidding.
Just kidding. All right. Well, so that's it for the Cup race. Really, again, it was a good race through and through. It had a lot of its own intrigue in it, but it was not necessarily as eventful as the next race we'll talk about, and we'll get there after I tell you about Underdog Fantasy. We're brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. The NFL season's right around the corner. Underdog NFL Pick'em is a great way to get down on your favorite over and under picks. They've even got college football. We just talked about that. And NFL preseason, if you're truly DEGEN like we are. Of course, make sure to enter Best Ball Mania 4. First place is going to get $3 million. This time I read that right. $3 million. Tell you what, I would love to win me some $3 million. I'm going to go. Cody's going to take the rest of this. I'm going to my Underdog app right now. Never mind. You, though, can head over to UnderdogFantasy.com. Use promo code SGPN. You're going to get a 100% deposit bonus up to $100. That's UnderdogFantasy.com. Promo code SGPN. All right, so the Xfinity folks kicked off the weekend on Saturday with their Shriners Children 200. Cody, should I just give you a blanket beginning to this to let it all out?
We handicapped this race perfectly, Rod. I mean, we called almost everything that happened, and then the end of the race happened. It's the same fucking thing that happened at Mid-Ohio? I don't even remember. I don't want to remember that race. The same thing, like we were cashing all these bets. And what sucks is like from a fan point of view, like this perspective of excitement, like fucking exciting. Like I was tweeting about how great it was. It was awesome. From the betting part, it sucks because it killed all of our bets. It sucks for a guy like Tiger.
Not all of them. Not all.
Okay. All of my bets. Rod still Rod had a great day. Not so much for me. I mean, again, it's looking back on a race like this, and I'm going to go through the bets here, but like almost all of our bets were the correct calls. Like we called things correctly based on how 99% of the race went until you got to overtime. And we've said it before, it's not burned us so much in the Cup Series lately, knock on wood. But overtime early in the season was just brutal. Like we had like a 6 or 7 week stretch where we had the leader at the end of regulation and missed the overtime outrights. Like just all things get thrown out in overtime, and it's crazy. And Ross Chastain finishing as good as he did is like, again, we'll talk about that when we get to that bet. That's the ultimate, like, yes, this race was nuts. But Sam Mayer, congrats to him. 2 wins now. Rod, once you get that first win out of the way, you get the monkey off the back, they start pouring in. Sam Mayer is a legit Xfinity guy now. He is a legit threat to win. An oval win will be coming soon. Like, you have got to consider him on a week-to-week basis. So shout out to Sam Mayer for getting it done.
Honestly, and 1000%, it didn't matter how the bets would have fallen out for me on this. That ending, though, you can never, ever. And I think it was you that posted the meme in our Discord where it was desperation move, and then like all happy about racing for a win. And listen, okay, here's the thing. Okay, I understand, and this is like, I've been watching a lot of Revolutionary War type and listening to a lot of Revolutionary War podcasts, right? There is what England thought was the gentleman's way to wage war. And then there was the way that the Americans waged war. It was 2 completely different philosophies, right? Why won't you meet me on an open field where we can just shoot at each other until all of us are gone? Whereas, like, we were like, nah, man, guerrilla wars, let's get you. That's the way these new drivers are. Like, the older drivers are like, no, this is the gentleman's way to race. There's a specific way, a code of the way you're supposed to behave. And the new drivers are like, hell no, man. We are going to go out and we're going to race. We're going to win. We're going to put you to the wall if we have to. And I'm not saying either way is really right or wrong, but I'm just saying that that's the philosophies that we have going against each other now. So you can't necessarily fault Sam Mayer for what he did to Ty Gibbs, because Ty Gibbs has done this exact same thing to many, many people. And there's documents. If you just scroll through X for a little while, you'll see people giving prime examples of Ty Gibbs putting the bumper to somebody to move him out of the way. So this is why he can't cry at the end of a race.
The Martinsville thing last year is the ultimate. Like, Brandon Jones going to win the race, and he's going to make the final 4. You're going to have 2 Gibbs cars instead of 3 JRM cars, and Ty just dumps him for the win that really didn't mean anything. Didn't even mean anything for points at that point because he was already locked into the final 4. Like, yeah, the points are all even at that point. Like, it literally meant nothing other than he wins, and I'm fine with win at all costs. I don't have a problem with that. I don't mind when people wreck people for wins, but don't get out and complain about it after you did the same thing last year to a car that your family owns. Like, of course Mayer was going to give it to you. Like, you had to know it was coming. Everybody knew it was coming, and that's just how it goes. If you're going to dish it out, you got to be able to take it, right? That's how it goes. And yeah, it was exciting. I thought for a split second there, I thought we were going to get the dominating car get spun out in overtime, and we get a new winner for the second race in a row, because that's what happened to us with Allgaier back in Mid-Ohio. Mayer gets the win, and it looked like Sheldon Creed maybe was going to win that race. But yet again, Sheldon Creed cannot. Anybody have worse luck than Sheldon Creed? I don't think so. Things literally fell into his lap to win the race. Still couldn't do it, Rod.
And he brushed it off as quickly as possible. He was like, oh, what is this? Oh, too hot. No, I don't want it.
I don't want one of those.
You know what's sad, though, is that for our favorite Canadian, not from Canadian, but from California, like, the poor dude, just when he gets out of the car, like, that guy's face every time.
It's like a puppy dog face every time. It's just like, it makes you feel so bad. Like, it's like when your kid looks at you and you're like, oh, geez, it just tugs at the heartstrings, Rob.
Yeah, all you want to do is reach out and fix.
Just give him a hug through the TV. Right? You're like, it's okay, Sheldon. You're gonna win one. I promise, buddy.
Your day's coming, man. Your day is coming.
All right.
But yeah, so we did
get into these bets, Rob.
Let's get into the bets, Cody.
Justin Allgaier, top 5 plus 140.
Ugh.
The lock of all locks. He starts 32nd in stage 1. He's 4th in stage 2. He is running up front all day long. I don't even know if he went outside the top 5 when he pitted ever. Like, he was always in the top 5. this bet didn't cash. So yeah, I don't. Again, it's just like everything about it was the right call yet again. Just he got fucked late. I mean, I think he was the reason for the caution that sent it to overtime. He got spun out, and just it's painful. But here we are, and is what it is.
Yeah, he got caught in that very last one with the 26, the 9, the 17, the 4, the 10. That was the big one. That was the
large
big
wreck.
of Watkins Glen. So unfortunately, yeah, it just if it weren't for that too, who knows what would have happened, because that was the caution that gave Sam Mayer the opportunity to put a good one into the back of him, which I had Sam Mayer as both a top 5 and a top 3 car, top 5 at plus 220. Top 3 at plus 400. Again, I had said too, it was just he's been fast and he's been confident. And when you put those two together, you're going to be good. And he was good all day long. That one car was 3rd at the end of stage 1, fell back into the top 5 at the end of stage 2. I think at the back end of, or was he 6th? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He was 6th. So just outside of the top 5. But again, a lot of that had to do too with some of the pit strategies and all that stuff, because obviously no stage cautions. Therefore, there was not a lot of, and then of course, it was the gas. It was the when do you pit and how do you pit and where do you pit? And these guys were playing such a crazy strategy.
Chase Elliott's a little jealous of Sam Mayer's fuel tank. He never pitted, Rod. He never pitted. Went to overtime and still made it. Oh my God.
Yeah, he was. If Chase Elliott had that gas tank, we may be looking at a different.
We might be looking at a totally different race here.
I want to know what the pickup had left in it. I mean, it probably had the pickup maybe never got.
That was probably the most informative cutaway car thing I've ever. Yeah. That was I didn't know that's how the fuel tank worked. Shout out to NBC. That was beautiful. The JD Case's 38 laps. Yeah, he went a fucking long time. I mean, I get some of it was under caution, but man, for him to not run out was incredible. So yeah, shout out to you, Rod. Oh, I should have left. I had it in the document. I took it out. I left it for you. That's what I get for being unselfish. You get all the praise, but no, I'm just kidding. A win for the show is a win for both of us. What's mine is yours. What's yours is mine. What is this? 200 and I don't even know how many episodes.
245 this time.
245. We're basically married at this point. So
yes, common law says we already are. So
shout out to you for hitting that. Rod nailed another one. Austin Hill top 5 plus 220. Automatic. Easy day again. Just cashing all day long. Hill maybe had a chance to win this race at the end. Starts 6th. He's 5th in stage 1, 3rd in stage 2. Second place. He's comes out with the lead late. Easy cash plus 220. Hit this one until overtime again. Man, you can't be more right about these. And then it just overtime happens and it just wipes it away. And that's how it goes. That's why they call it gambling. That's why we run these races. Again, all the analysis was right. Austin Hill, you're not going to get it this week. He's going to be minus 150 to win a Daytona, which is going to be ridiculous. Don't do it. We're going to say this is going to be the week. We're going to say don't bet on him. It's not worth it. Every other week, top 5 Austin Hill, just keep hitting it. I don't care what the number is. Jeez. Unfortunately, same thing happened here. Yeah, don't worry. There's more, Rod.
Yeah, no, that was a tough one to swallow too, because he was up there the entire time, and just watching that 21 kind of slide back at the end of that race was just a heartbreaker. As was this next one. Alex Bowman actually found himself back. I mean, he had to start in the back, right? That was what he had. Unapproved adjustments, had to start in the back. Dude climbed his way up to 2nd place at the end of stage 2. He was able to keep himself up front after these pit strategies. And even Steven says that's what she said. Tough one to swallow. That's what she said.
That's what
so the thing about Bowman too was that he found his way up to the front. Unfortunately, couldn't stay that way. He did finish 9th, so not bad for a guy that he qualified. He qualified in 2nd, but had to go all the way to the back. So this one was looking pretty good, even from the end of qualifying. Got to send him back. He found his way up back inside of a top 10, which makes me wonder what he would have had for anybody if he'd have been able to start 2nd. Would he have been able to stay in 5th place or even sniff a top 5? So unfortunately, that one didn't hit.
Yeah, again, just product of all the circumstances. He was even up there at the end, and yeah, caught up in all the shit. Josh Berry over Ross Chastain. It was minus 135 when I put in the dock. I gave it out at minus 160 because it had moved. This was easy. This was not going to be anywhere close. Chastain was not going to be better than 30th all day long. Chastain was not better than 30th all day long. Berry had his share of troubles and issues, and he ends up finishing 20th. Easily good enough to beat Ross Chastain, who didn't crack the top 30 all goddamn day until overtime, Rod. And he finishes in 6th. He finishes in 4th. Yeah, that's even worse. But it was this Daytona this week. Maybe I watched the wrong. Were we on the wrong track? I don't know.
I don't know.
He was not nowhere to be found all day. Oh, jeez. It makes me sick. But again, here we are, Rod. Overtime. Fucked another bet that was cashing 99% of the day.
Well, this race definitely turned into a war of attrition too by the end of it. And the fact that Ross Chastain finished 4th, you're right, absolutely just solidifies how absolutely nutso that day was. All right, I had Mayer over Custer. Obviously, this one hit at plus 130. Look, Cole Custer, too, for his credit, he started 4th, ended up finishing 7th. Not a bad day for Cole. It was just, obviously, he was not going to beat Ty, and Sam Mayer continued to just climb his way up to the front the entire day long. Even when Sam fell back, it was, he was playing the right strategies at that point, where Cole Custer, I think, even came in and topped off the fuel, I think is what ended up happening for him too at late in that race.
That's what it was. So Bowman, when you're talking about Bowman, remember Bowman and Custer were the ones battling for, was it 3rd place? And then they had their synchronized spin after they got it. They were just super aggressive for 3rd place. I don't know what they were doing exactly, but yeah, they ended up taking each other out. I think Custer spun 4 or 5 times throughout that race. Still ended up in 7th somehow, but obviously, yeah, great call by you on Mayer again. Mayer was the way to go, and you cleaned up on that. And again, these Mayer bets, most of them would have cashed even without the chaos at the end. He was still running 2nd basically most of the day. So shout out to you for that. Another one, Rod, cashing all day long. Austin Hill over Sheldon Creed, plus 100. Easy peasy, not a problem here. This one cashed as well before overtime. And Austin Hill was the sad victim of a Sam Mayer spin on Ty Gibbs. And yet again, that's a clean sweep, Rod. Yeah, all of them, every single bet of these until the winners was cashing 99% of this race. And I did not hit a single one of them thanks to overtime.
It's so frustrating to know
comical,
that. It is. It is.
Just everything about the analysis was spot on. If this race would have gone green, there was not a late caution. All of these would have cashed, no question. We'd have swept this side of the card. You'd have hit all your Mayer bets, and it would have been what a fucking great day. And overtime, we're not talking about him, JDK. I don't want to talk about Moelsack. I'm still upset about his oily performance at whatever the hell track that was earlier this year.
We'll talk. We'll scroll X and see what we can find at some point. But
yeah, I'm sure somebody out there had. I'm sure somebody out there had them. So look at it. Look it up on X. We don't.
All right. So we'll move on from that because that's definitely stings. But how about Parker Kligerman? A 3rd place finish for the Klig over Sammy Smith. I had him at minus 110, and this one hit. Obviously, Kligerman finishing 3rd. Sammy Smith, this one was a back and forth battle all day long because, Kligerman was up front, running up front, and then, the pits happened, and then he fell back, and he ran into a little bit of trouble, and then Sammy Smith and him were kind of right at each other's throats all day long. For the most part, it was Kligerman, and that was Sammy, and then it was Kligerman, and that was Sammy, and then, of course, Sammy ended up having trouble there himself. He finished in 19th, but really, it was just a battle between those guys all day long. And if it weren't for Sammy Smith ultimately finally catching that last bit of trouble for him, I don't know this one would hit, though. That's the thing about it. Kligerman was good, but Sammy Smith kept fighting on, and it was just
but with Sammy Smith, you can't trust him to get there, and I think that's the thought here. And guess what? He doesn't get there again. So Kligerman shows up on a road course again. This was a good call from you. Only minus 110, so that was a great hit. I did have Sam Mayer over Sheldon Creed. Rod, we talk about it. These head-to-heads, sometimes one spot separates them. Whew. First and second. Finally, I hit a bet. This one was cashing 99% of the day and still cashed in overtime. Whew, man, at least it wasn't completely red X's all the way across my card.
Yeah, it was, again, that was a good one, but it was tough. I mean, should Creed have been able to stay up front, who knows
Right, yeah.
what would have happened too.
Again, Creed should have probably won that race, but
coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Yep.
All right, second number bet of the weekend for me. Winning car number was odd. Told you it was juiced up for a reason. A lot of heavy hitters in the odd. If Gibbs would have won, still would have cashed. Mayer would have won, still would have cashed. Creed, no. Klingerman, no. But yeah, I mean, Chastain in the 17. I'm sorry, in the 91 would have made it happen. Yeah, that's quite a bit. But
imagine if Chastain would have won that race. Oh, Jesus.
After we had gotten done saying no. So, and then just to finish it up, I had Gibbs to win at plus 275.
Which, oh my God. Again, cashing 99% of the race. Like, he should have won this race. I had Kyle Busch plus 225. I don't know that I'll ever bet on a Kaulig race car again. That was just fucking stupid. He never had a chance. Allgaier 10-1. He had plenty of chances. Austin Hill, Rod, it was setting up perfectly. We knew Mayer was going to take Gibbs out. Hill was going to be right there. He's going to steal this at 22-1. It didn't happen. But again, you take him because, Rod, he puts himself in position, and he was in position. If he doesn't get caught up in that, Austin Hill likely wins this race 22-1. It would be a much different situation of how I would feel about this race from a betting aspect. But doesn't hit. That's all right. On the next week.
Well, and so even still too, Austin Hill had the fuel too. Austin Hill topped off. Everybody else could have ran out of fuel too. And
that was, yes. So we could have hit it that way. Was he the leader
with all the fuel? Yep.
Yeah. He ended up being the leader on that last restart. Or maybe the second to last restart. Yeah, he had the four tires switched, which I thought was the dumbest call ever. I guess the crew chief might know what he's talking about. And yeah, Austin Hill, not going to take it easy on Mayer. I don't know if you saw his interview afterwards. He ain't putting up with that shit. Mayer will be in the fence the first chance Austin Hill gets. Also, I just want to shout out these young Xfinity drivers being trained so well to know what to say on the radio. Sam Mayer, I wheel hopped going into the corner. Somebody else had said something. That was Sammy Smith. And who did he get into it with? God, I can't remember, but he just goes, I checked up or something. And yeah, like absolutely Steve Letarte. Yeah, I don't know if that's what happened, but props to these guys for saying, like, no way it will fucking happen. But yes, props to them for saying it.
Media coaches are a real job nowadays, man. They got it. And it's the same thing with over the radio. These guys know that NASCAR is listening. They know they're watching their tweets. They know they're watching their social medias. So it's like, listen, guys, you got to calm it down. Like, no,
they got Chris Carter. Chris Carter's in there. You got to have a fall guy.
Yeah. Except Creed.
I don't know. I missed that part, but
yeah, I didn't. Did Creed say something bad? Because
maybe he did.
This poor interview, man. I was feeling sorry for the guy at the end of it. I wasn't listening to what he was saying. I was just listening to the tone of his voice.
He just looked deep into those puppy eyes. He got that sad song playing. Oh yeah, Nashville said he was going to wreck. Well, I think that's why people have learned since that and a few other instances. But Rod, it's on to Daytona. We're going to set the playoff field. One spot remains. If any driver, doesn't matter where they're at in points, any driver that has been running the full season is eligible for points, wins this race, they lock themselves into the playoffs. Oh, it's so exciting. And they're changing it up this week. I love this. Friday night, Xfinity Series racing under the lights at Daytona. Saturday night, the Cup Series race to lock in who goes to the playoffs. And the Truck Series at the Milwaukee Mile gets Sunday.
Ooh.
The spotlight all to themselves, Rod. F1 is back. IndyCar is back on an oval this week. I believe they're at Gateway this weekend. Oh, man. We are in for a good race. Good racing week. Daytona, again, you'll get the speech about how you got to take it easy because we never know. One of my favorite places to bet We hit Austin Dillon last year 30-1 through the chaos of the rain at Daytona. Great weekend. I'm ready to do it again. Welcome to Corey LaJoie week. Let's go set the playoffs. It's going to be a hell of a week, Rod.
Indeed. All right. Thanks everybody for hanging out with us. I think we'll go ahead and put this to bed and send ourselves ready for next week at Daytona. Like Cody said, hopefully the books decide they want to get some odds up because look, they got to spin the wheel. Plus the DFS wheel is back. We're going to bring the DFS wheel back for the DFS show as well. Lots of fun to be had for Daytona as we wind down the regular season. Once again, thanks everybody for joining us and hanging out with us on this Sunday afternoon. JDK says it'd be nice to see Eric win.
No, not this week. It's not coming this week because he's already locked in the playoffs now. It's got to mean something. It'll come in the playoffs. He's got one more in him.
Phoenix. It'll come to win that last championship. That'll be where it is.
Could be.
Or spoil it for somebody that isn't. So,
yep. Martinsville. Martinsville's the one you got to watch. That's where Jeff Gordon won his last year. Dale Jr. won his last year.
Kevin can get his last clock over there for Martinsville. So, all right, Cody. Well, as we wrap it up, let everybody know where they can find you on social media.
Yep. Follow me on X at Husker_Zeeb. You can find all my work over there. Got a ton of stuff out. So follow me. Get it all over there. Check out the F1 Gambling Pod this week. We'll be back. IndyCar. We got the whole shebang. 5 races this week. I'm excited. Indeed.
Follow me on Twitter at RJ Villagomez. Link in the bio to everything I got going on, whether it's here, whether it is in between media, the back road. They're going to be going with Elliot and Seth this week. I'll be off, but of course I'll be back with more fast money on for frequency's sake as well. We got a full week here. Like Cody said, all kinds of racing to cover. So make sure you keep it locked on both of our socials to find out where you can find it. Happy Corey LaJoie week.
Get your bets in early.
Until then, everybody, let's go racing and let it ride.